Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
It is a race against time for Durham police. 4 people shot in less than 48 hours. Officers are trying to determine if the cases are connected.
And the abbreviated work week got off to a tough start for commuters on I-40 westbound. We'll explain what caused these backups that stretched for miles.
4 people shot, 3 different incidents, and 2 people are dead. Durham police are trying to bring a swift end to the violence and solve these cases.
This string of violence has happened over the last 3 days, leaving many in the community shaken. 2 of those incidents happened in the same place, and most recently in East Durham. And that's where we find WRAL's Monica Casey. Monica, what have you been able to learn about these investigations?
Well, this most recent shooting happened around 9:40 this morning here in this East Durham community. Down over this way, that is the intersection of Holloway and Bry Streets. Durham police tell us 1 person was shot here, and that person was pronounced dead on this scene by the time EMS had arrived. This is a pretty large crime scene we're dealing with here. Durham police have Holloway Street closed down much further in both directions. A lot of traffic impact here right now. This is the second fatal shooting in Durham today. Just after midnight, early this morning, police responded to 2 people shot over on Leadnam Street. 1 adult man was taken to the hospital in a private vehicle. When police got to that scene, they found another man there dead. We spoke with a witness over the phone who says he saw multiple people shooting at each other.
Yeah, I think they need to be around him so they can see the community, and take care of this because this is getting bad. Because this is the second one in 2 days.
Now, Sunday night around 6 o'clock, another person was shot in that same area over on Leadnam Street. That person had non-life-threatening injuries. Durham police have not told us of any arrests in any of these cases as of right now. We are also working to learn more information about who these victims are. Live in Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
We have a pretty afternoon on the way, but our temperatures will drop sharply overnight. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner joins us now with a look at who could see a frosty morning tomorrow.
We have our wind now coming out of the north after yesterday's front came through. Some of that air coming straight out of Canada. And we're going to see that dropping our temperature. It's still going to be a pretty pleasant afternoon. But overnight tonight, we'll drop to 31 in Roxborough, 34 in South Hill, 36 in Durham and in Rocky Mount. Now, everybody from Raleigh southward has a much lesser chance of seeing some frost, but definitely our northern counties have that potential. You can take a look at the frost and freeze threat, and you can see that's here in blue where we have the potential for frost. So all of our counties that border Virginia, as well as a few more to the south, including the town of Durham, and then back down here into parts of Moore, Lee, and Chatham counties could end up with some patchy frost tomorrow morning. We take a look at satellite and radar. We have rain that comes in on Thursday, and you can see this front back to the west. Also some precipitation here along the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to move northward, interact with that front, and bring us a good chance for some rain on Thursday. We'll jump ahead and take a look here as we go through the morning hours. You can see those showers between around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and lunchtime, and then it may be a little lighter during the afternoon, but it's likely to be a pretty messy morning commute and a messy day. As a matter of fact, our high on Thursday in the 50s, and we haven't seen 50s since last spring, so it's going to be a fairly chilly rain that we'll have to deal with on Thursday. But I'll show you how much rain we'll see. It is much needed.
New at noon, one of the Triangle's biggest employers is getting bigger, acquiring new AI data software. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now with how SAS says it'll help the company grow.
Jeff, this is interesting stuff here. This software is called Hazy. SAS says it's a pioneer in synthetic data technology. Synthetic data, it essentially mimics that real-world data without that real-world piece, instead using AI to generate the most accurate possible numbers through an algorithm. SAS points out the key with this new type of data is it should not expose that sensitive information we talk about a lot since it's not linked to real people. SAS says this will help its clients to be more innovative, do deeper research, and overcome some of the current challenges to getting data. CEO Jim Goodnight put out this statement, quote, "Our acquisition of Hazy's IP represents a pivotal step in our commitment to innovation in the next generation of data management and AI." Meanwhile, take a look. This is Hazy's website. The company describes itself as a platform that re-engineers your data to make it faster, easier, and safer. Hazy's CEO released this statement, quote, "We're thrilled to announce that SAS has acquired Hazy's core synthetic data technology assets, reinforcing our commitment to shaping the future of privacy-first AI and data analytics." SAS says the first look at data solutions from this move likely available in early 2025. The acquisition of UK-based product adds a small group of employees to the more than 4,000 people currently working in Wake County.
Noah, thanks for that. We now know where former Labor Commissioner Josh Dobson landed following his sudden resignation. This morning, we learned Dobson has been named the president and CEO of the North Carolina Healthcare Association. Dobson left his post the day after the election, just hours after learning Luke Farley would replace him. Dobson served less than one term as Labor Commissioner.
A section of I-40 in Cary is back open this noon hour after investigators cleared a crash that killed a person. This unfolded near the I-440 US 1 interchange just before 5 this morning. WRAL's Ken Smith is here now with a look at how the crash affected the morning commute on I-40. Ken?
Yeah, Renee, that section of I-40 westbound looked more like a parking lot for much of the morning commute. Let's get right to where that trouble spot was right now, near exit 293 in Cary this morning. That's delay-free right now, as you can see from our live traffic map. Well, that wasn't the case earlier this morning. Take a look at video from Sky 5 over that scene, showing that backup that stretched for more than 2 miles. It started at exit 293, which is an exit-only lane there in Cary that leads to US 1 and all points west. At one point, that backup stretched past Hammond Road and I-40 West. Raleigh police confirmed one person hit by a vehicle died. We're working to find out how all this happened and the identity of that person. Now, all morning long, we were showing this camera at I-40 and Avon Ferry Road, the westbound lanes coming toward us. It was absolutely, there was no movement there, but you can see it's a lot moving and a lot nicer in both directions right now, delay-free. Listen, each and every morning, you leaving the house, you can tune us in on the radio. That's what we did this morning. We let everybody know what was going on. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
We're working to learn if charges will be filed in a chase that ended in a crash in Wake County. Deputies say they tried to stop a speeding car on I-40 around 7 last night. The driver didn't stop. The car then crashed into a tree on the Carytown Boulevard exit. Deputies say the car was stolen and 5 young people were hurt.
The New York judge who presided over President-elect Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial has pushed back his ruling on whether to set aside Trump's felony convictions. In May, Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts related to hush money payments made to porn actress Stormy Daniels. The president-elect has denied any wrongdoing. Lawyers for the president-elect want the case dismissed, while prosecutors say they need more time to evaluate the next steps now that the former president has been reelected. Meanwhile, this morning, the Supreme Court rejected Mark Meadows' request to move his Georgia election subversion case to federal court. The former North Carolina congressman served as White House chief of staff during Trump's first term. Last year, Meadows was indicted on racketeering and other charges that he tried to change the outcome of the 2020 election in the state.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem could play a huge role in the second Trump cabinet. Sources say he plans to tap her to serve as Homeland Security Secretary. The agency oversees Customs and Border Protection, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the Secret Service. It has a $60 billion budget and has hundreds of thousands of employees. During Trump's previous term in office, DHS had 5 different leaders. The same network says the president-elect is expected to choose Florida Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. A formal announcement is expected in the coming days. Rubio was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2010. He serves on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and is the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Trump previously considered Rubio as his running mate before choosing J.D. Vance.
Well, markets are pretty muted today as economists wait for some economic data to come out this week. Some key numbers still ahead this week. You see where the Dow Jones Industrial Average is right now, down 242 points. S&P 500 is down 14 this noon. The NASDAQ is down 42. Next at noon, recess is over for lawmakers on Capitol Hill. And with a December deadline to fund the government, how the House and Senate will have to work fast to agree.
Also, a FEMA worker has been fired in Florida. What a supervisor with the government agency is accused of doing in the wake of Hurricane Milton.
Plus, Wake County schools being added and thousands of families will have to adjust. At 12:30, what this could mean for your students and how to weigh in on the proposed changes.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the head of the Church of England has resigned over his handling of sex abuse scandals over the years. Archbishop Justin Welby made the announcement today. An investigation found that he failed to tell police about serial physical and sexual abuse by a volunteer at Christian summer camps as soon as he became aware of it. Pressure on Welby had been building since last week. He said in a statement, "I believe that stepping aside is in the best interest of the Church of England, which I dearly love and in which I have been honored to serve."
Members of the House and Senate are back on Capitol Hill today after a more than a month recess. This lame duck session is expected to be hectic. Amy Kiley reports on the pressing deadlines before Inauguration Day.
That December 20th deadline is going to creep up very quickly.
Congress returns to Washington today after an extended election recess. Lawmakers face an urgent to-do list and a ticking clock. They have about 5 weeks to pass a funding bill to keep the government open.
Expect a clash because that's always what happens when we have these potential shutdowns. Republicans are likely going to push for a shorter-term funding patch, while Democrats are going to want a longer-term funding plan.
Another pressing concern is this fiscal year's National Defense Authorization Act. The House and Senate have separate versions on the table and need one that can pass both chambers. Congress also faces pressure to approve more disaster relief funds after Hurricanes Milton and Helene.
We have seen an increase in the frequency and gravity of extreme weather events, and it is our obligation as a government to be prepared for the long term. And that is why we need Congress to act.
Meanwhile, some farm bill programs expire at the end of this year. The debt ceiling will be reinstated January 2nd, and
President Biden will have the opportunity over the next 70 days to make the case to the Congress and to the incoming administration that the United States should not walk away from Ukraine.
A FEMA supervisor encouraged workers to discriminate against Trump supporters in Florida and has been fired. A leaked text told relief workers to avoid homes advertising Trump in the wake of Hurricane Milton. In a statement on X, FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell called the workers' instruction a clear violation of FEMA's core values and principles to help people regardless of their political affiliation. Criswell is expected to testify before Congress next week.
2024 has produced the most tornadoes in the U.S. since 2011. This is video of a tornado touchdown on I-85 in Granville County from September. Meteorologist Chris Michaels shows us how storms like Hurricane Debbie and Hurricane Helene added to the tally, specifically here in North Carolina.
So it's been a very active tropical season and therefore very active in regards to tornadoes. When you look back to 2011, those of us who were here, of course, remember the April 16th of 2011. Then there was an even bigger outbreak later in the month, especially in Alabama. Well, that year totaled more than 2,000 reports of tornadoes. So far this year, across the country, we've seen more than 1,700 reports of tornadoes. That's above average by about 400. Part of that has to do with the fact that we've had 4 landfalling storms from Beryl to Debbie, from Helene to Milton. And especially here in North Carolina, we saw about 20 reported tornadoes just due to tropical systems. We've had 35 reported over the course of the entire year. During Debbie, the state had 79 tornado warnings. During Helene, it had 36. During Milton, Florida had a record of tornado warnings, 127 in one day. Back here at home, tropical tornadoes, we've had 11 of those just within our viewing area. A lot of you guys remember the 2 EF3s, the one in Lucama and the one that happened in Rocky Mount due to Helene.
We definitely remember, and those tornado outbreaks certainly kept our team of meteorologists busy with continuous coverage to get you the information to keep everyone safe.
November usually marks the end of that, and now we're still seeing some things happening in the tropics out there. We take it outside right now, but a much more serene view. Elizabeth Gardner on the WRAL weather patio.
It feels really nice out here, just in a long sleeve shirt and some pants, and no jacket really needed, especially if you're in the sunshine. A beautiful view of the gardens this afternoon. You can see the dappled sunshine there. Just a gorgeous afternoon. Enjoy it because our temperatures are going to start to drop noticeably as we get through the next several days. So just expect that we're going to end up seeing those temperatures starting to fall a bit as we get through the next little while. Checking, of course, what's happening across our area. We are expecting it to turn a good bit cooler as we get through the next several days. And of course, we're going to be dealing with that as well. We're going to come back in just a little bit and talk a bit more about what's happening out here. Back to you.
All right, Elizabeth, thanks. It has been more than 8 months since online sports betting was legalized in North Carolina. And now lawmakers are working to change the way people who bet are taxed. We hear their plan at 4.
And then at 5, years after a deadly fire at the QVC plant in Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County officials are looking at ways to better their firefighting response. How they hope a county-wide fire department could help do that. Still ahead this noon, meantime, some streaming customers are saying goodbye, but not forever. We'll take a look at the growing trend of pausing subscriptions.
Honda is under the federal microscope again. The familiar problem plaguing Honda and its luxury brand in the model years affected.
Let 5 on your side help you get ready for tax season while you have the time to make some changes. Tomorrow, federally licensed tax professionals will be answering your calls and offering tax planning information, and it's free. 5 on your side spoke with one of those volunteers about the most common questions people ask when they call.
Some of the questions I get, are like, what is the standard deduction? How much can I put in my IRA? How much can I put in my 401k? Can I withdraw money from it, tax-free penalty, and things like that.
So get your questions ready and call tomorrow from 4 until 7 p.m.
The government is investigating complaints that engines can fail on as many as 1.4 million Honda and Acura vehicles. The issue involves connecting rod bearings on vehicles with 3.5-liter V6 engines can fail, leading to complete engine failure. Now, the probe covers various Honda and Acura models made between 2016 and 2020. Honda recalled about 250,000 vehicles in November of last year to fix the same problem. Genetic testing firm 23andMe is letting go around 200 employees as part of a restructuring program. The CEO expects the cuts to save the company more than $35 million. In addition to the job cuts, the firm also plans to wind down ongoing trials, which involve creating drugs designed to fight cancer cells and tumors. 23andMe claims to have the world's largest proprietary database of health and genetic information. The DNA giant came under fire after hackers accessed sensitive details for nearly 7 million customers following a cyber attack last December.
Some streaming services are seeing an uptick in users pausing their subscriptions instead of canceling them altogether. Some subscription pausers tend to take a break from a certain service until new episodes of their favorite shows arrive again. The trend is driving some companies to ensure they have content to keep customers interested year-round. Pausing allows customers to temporarily disable billing and service. Some say it also makes it easier for people to pick up where they left off.
All right, and we'll take a quick break as we give you a live look at Durham, and we'll get the forecast coming up.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
It is so gorgeous outside. Look at all this sunshine and the blue skies. Just 35 minutes until they cut us loose, Jeff, and we can enjoy.
I'm ready. And a solid swath of 60s for temperatures, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I can tell you, it feels great out there right now, for sure. 68 is our temperature. Our dew point dropped all the way down to 41. You probably noticed over the last several days it felt kind of muggy, and that is all gone. We've got a nice dry air mass that's worked its way in. We're going to hold it in the 60s all the way until around 5 o'clock. But we do have a flow that's coming out of the north, and eventually that's going to cool things down. But right now we are on the upswing with temperatures. It's 34 in Roxborough, 68. 64 in Roxborough, 68 in Goldsboro, 65 degrees in Southern Pines. A little breezy out there, too. Our wind is coming out of the north at around 5 to 15 miles per hour, depending on where you are. We're gusting up to 16 up in South Hill. And we'll see winds gusting, say, 15 to 17 or 18 miles per hour through the afternoon. That's just a little bit blustery. It's not anything that's terribly strong, but you may notice it's a little windy out there. 68 in Raleigh, 66 in Durham, 71 in Fayetteville for our afternoon highs. We, again, talked about this a little while ago, but frost is possible for early tomorrow morning. 31 in Roxborough, 34 in South Hill, 36 Durham, 36 in Rocky Mount. So anywhere where temperatures are in the low to mid 30s, we have the potential for frost to be on the patchy side. But Raleigh at 38, Fayetteville at 41, it's much less likely that we'll see frost there. We are tracking the cooler temperatures coming on through. As our front moved offshore yesterday, we had our wind shift to northerly, and of course we have another front that'll come through on Thursday. That one's going to bring a chilly rain with it and even more cool air behind it. So you can see where we have the best chance of frost overnight tonight. That's going to be all the counties shaded in blue. So counties that are adjacent to Virginia and then down here into parts of the Sandhills, just not Fayetteville and Clinton. Wednesday and Thursday, highs will be in the 50s, and that's the coolest that we've seen since last March. 64 is our normal high. So 59 Wednesday, 53 on Thursday. It's going to be chilly. Not only is it going to be chilly Thursday, but we're going to have some rain as well. So it's going to be a fairly uncomfortable day Thursday. We definitely need the rain. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk about how much we could see.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Parents have one final chance tonight to give their thoughts on a plan to move thousands of students to new schools.
WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains how this will affect many families in the southern part of Wake County.
Thousands of families could be impacted by this. Parents, tonight is your last chance to share your opinion. Wake school leaders will meet here at the school district headquarters later this evening. 4 new schools are opening next year, and 1 elementary school in Apex will be renovated to make space for more students. This may force about 2,000 students to change schools. Frustrated parents have started petitions, spoken at board meetings, and reached out to staff. They expressed concerns about how far away their children's new schools would be from their homes. In response to that, the district says they will be more generous with their stability rules. That would allow more students to stay at their current school, even if they are reassigned. The district also changed the neighborhoods that are on the reassignment list. Tonight's meeting is scheduled for 5:30. Then the board will make a final vote on the reassignment plan on November 26th. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, in Cary.
Durham Public Schools' new superintendent wants to hear from you about your experience with the district. Anthony Lewis is holding a meeting tonight to speak to families, students, staff, and community members. Tonight's meeting will be at 6:30 at Northern High School.
Dutch authorities warned today of calls for more rioting in Amsterdam. Dozens of people armed with sticks and firecrackers set a tram on fire last night. NBC's Raf Sanchez reports from Tel Aviv.
There were more scenes of chaos and disorder in Amsterdam overnight as a mob chanted anti-Semitic slurs as it attacked a tram line. Dutch police say the crowd, armed with sticks and fireworks, set fire to one of those trams. Dutch police say they made a number of arrests and they did restore order. But of course, the capital of the Netherlands shaken by that violence late last week involving Israeli soccer fans. Netherlands police say they have arrested 5 more people in connection with that and that they are still hunting for other perpetrators. There is a new report out from the Amsterdam mayor's office, which really goes into detail of the chaos all across the city on that night. It says that Israeli soccer fans moving in large groups attacked people, ripped down Palestinian flags, chanted slurs, but that later on in the night, groups of pro-Palestinian assailants using scooters mounted hit-and-run attacks targeting those Israelis. The mayor of Amsterdam says there was talk on social media of a Jew hunt beforehand. All eyes now on Paris, where Israel's national soccer team is due to play on Thursday. Israeli fans have been told to stay away from that game for their own safety, and 5,000 French police will be deployed to maintain order. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Russia launched a massive drone attack on central and eastern Ukraine today. Ukraine says that Russia fired 110 drones and fewer than half of them were intercepted. Russia has around 50,000 troops along the front line in Kursk, a region Ukraine seized over the summer. Vladimir Putin is determined to try to get that area back ahead of potential negotiations led by President-elect Trump. The U.S. says there are around 10,000 North Korean troops in Russia. It's not clear what role they are playing.
Haiti's main airport is closed as violence ramps up across that country. Take a look at the bullet holes that came through the side of a plane there. The flight attendant suffered minor injuries. No passengers were hurt. The violence is breaking out as Haiti's new interim prime minister was sworn into office. Police clashed with gangs in the capital city of Port-au-Prince. Passengers on that Spirit Airlines plane described the terrifying event, saying it was intense.
Bullets hit the fuselage, and then the plane, which was cruising into a regular landing, hit the gas and took altitude and got the heck out of the Port-au-Prince area.
Other passengers said when this happened, the pilot didn't say exactly what happened. He said due to the circumstances on the ground in Haiti, they would be diverting. The attack marks the second time in under a month an aircraft has been targeted while flying over Haiti's capital.
Voters in Arizona have elected their first Latino U.S. Senator. Democrat Ruben Gallego defeated Republican Kari Lake, preventing Republicans from further padding their majority in the U.S. Senate. With Gallego's win, the GOP will have 53 seats in the 100-member Senate. Gallego is a 5-term House member and an Iraq War veteran. He told supporters his victory is a victory for everyone in Arizona.
And what I've learned from every part of this state, from Democrats, Republicans, Independents, so we all just want a better life for ourselves and the ability to give our kids the best possible future that they could have. So that's exactly what I'm going to fight for in the Senate. And I'll work with anyone to get their job done for nuestras familias and for Arizona. This election are very clear.
The Arizona Supreme Court also denied Kari Lake's final petition aimed at overturning the results of her 2022 race loss in the race for governor.
A Massachusetts Air National Guardsman pleaded guilty to leaking sensitive national defense information. He'll be sentenced this afternoon. Jack Teixeira admitted to posting a trove of highly classified intelligence reports and other documents, on social media. He pleaded guilty to all 6 counts he faced under the Espionage Act. His attorneys are expected to argue he should get 11 years in prison. Prosecutors are expected to ask a judge to impose a sentence of more than 16 years. Telehealth companies say they're seeing a surge in online sales of the morning after pill in the wake of the election. Telehealth company Wisp says sales of the medication went up about 1,000% just one day after the election. The CEO says women are preparing for the upcoming Trump administration and the possibility that their access to emergency contraception could be restricted. Another telehealth company, Winx Health, sales of its morning after pill went up 315% the day after the election compared with the 24 hours prior to it.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, a man was arrested in Durham after he led police on a chase there. Michael Hester Jr. was arrested. He was driving a black Chrysler Pacifica yesterday. This is video from that scene. Police tried to pull him over for a seatbelt violation on Crown Parkway in Durham. That's when he sped off and the chase began. Police were then able to confirm that that vehicle he was driving was stolen. The chase went through Wake County and came back to Durham County. Hester struck a pickup truck, ran off the roadway to the left, struck 2 utility poles on Andrew Avenue and Bingham Street in Durham. He was treated for minor injuries and transported to the Durham County Jail. He's been charged with the following: felony flee to elude arrest, as well as felony assault with a deadly weapon. Frontier Electric also responded to assess those damaged poles that he crashed into. The Durham County Sheriff's Office has also filed additional charges to Hester.
Michelle, thanks. The pandemic saw a spike in heavy alcohol use among adults. Why years later, drinking has stayed on the high side.
Plus, visiting St. Peter's Basilica anytime without leaving your home. How the Vatican is using AI to create a digital twin of the church and make it more accessible. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories. For coverage you'll find only on WRAL, visit WRAL.com and search only.
Just beautiful out there as we take a live look at the American Tobacco campus in Durham. Blue skies, lots of sunshine. Our highs will be in the 60s. Tomorrow, though, get ready to dig out your coats. And in the morning, some areas could see patchy frost. You're watching WRAL News, available on a YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Loopholes could let kids bypass online regulations to purchase e-cigarettes. In order to buy tobacco products, you have to be 21 years old and have an ID scanned when accepting that type of delivery. But a recent study found delivery personnel scanned the receiver's ID only one time out of more than 100 deliveries. There was no delivery interaction for 78% of the orders. The report also found 80% of the orders were delivered by the U.S. Postal Service, even though they are not allowed to ship e-cigarettes and vaping products. North Carolina is one of the last states to still allow 18-year-olds to buy tobacco products. Our WRAL documentary unit recently examined the law, the loophole, and why so many young people are addicted to them. Watch our full documentary, Gen V, Teen Vaping in North Carolina, on WRAL.com.
Tonight, to get clarity about flu shots and COVID vaccines, the Department of Health and Human Services is hosting a virtual fireside chat from 6 until 7. It was originally scheduled for last month, but was postponed because of Hurricane Helene. If you have questions about how to update your vaccines and where to get them, this event is for you. You can also learn more about how to access free vaccines for children. Americans started drinking more during the COVID pandemic and didn't stop once things went back to normal. The rise in drinking was seen all across age groups, genders, race, ethnicities, and regions of the country, except for Native Americans and Asian Americans. Adults ages 40 to 49 had the highest increase in heavy alcohol use. Researchers hope bringing awareness to the issue will lead to public policy changes.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott will have season-ending surgery tomorrow on his partially torn hamstring. The surgery will happen tomorrow. It does have a 3-month recovery period, so obviously he will miss the rest of the season. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says his prognosis is wonderful. The Cowboys also signed Dak to a $240 million contract extension last month, so he will be back as their starting quarterback next year.
Michelle, thanks. Harriet Tubman earned the nickname Moses for liberating dozens of enslaved people at great risk. But did you know she was also the first black woman to serve in the U.S. military? Coming up, how the state of Maryland is honoring her heroism and service.
Plus, a Scottish council pays $6 for an 18th century bust. It was not a bust, though. They found out it could be worth millions. How town leaders plan to use this potential windfall. Harriet Tubman escaped slavery and then returned to lead other enslaved women and men to freedom. Now her home state of Maryland is recognizing her service during the Civil War. She used her experiences on the Underground Railroad to serve as a scout and nurse for the Union Army during the Civil War. Maryland Governor Wes Moore marked Veterans Day by promoting her to Brigadier General in Maryland's Army National Guard.
This is a person who is one of the greatest Marylanders we've ever known, and someone who was willing to risk her own freedom, her own safety, her own life in order to help others. I mean, that is patriotism. That's heroism. And so it's only appropriate that we now have a General Harriet Tubman.
And the commissioning and recognition ceremony was held at the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad State Park and Visitor Center.
Firefighters are battling dangerous wildfires on both coasts. In Southern California, the mountain fire has already destroyed dozens of homes, and strong winds are prompting new evacuations. NBC's Emily Ikeda is on the East Coast, where crews in New York and New Jersey are trying to contain a deadly fire there.
Well, New Jersey experienced its driest October on record, and that has really served as fuel for wildfires across the region. You can see one raced through here, coming dangerously close to homes and neighborhoods. Making matters worse, increasing concern are some of the winds expected for today. Red flag warnings in parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, and here in New Jersey, where the Forest Fire Service has already responded to nearly 540 wildfires since the beginning of October. One of particular concern is in North Jersey. It expanded into New York. The Jennings Creek fire, about 3,500 acres right now, and it tragically killed an 18-year-old parks worker trying to fight the fire. Out west, more concerns about the wind there as well. Gusts expected in Southern California up to 60 miles an hour. That could further spread the mountain fire that has already claimed and destroyed nearly 200 homes there. Unfortunately, the conditions not making things easier for firefighters who are working on both coasts. Back to you.
You don't really think of that in the fall so much because we usually have more precipitation by now, but those no burn warnings just about all those states.
Yeah, it's just so dry there that it's just adding fuel to those fires, and we're still dry. We're looking forward to a good soaking rain later this week, but for now, today, Elizabeth, it looks beautiful out there.
It's so nice. We had a big drop in our humidity when we had that front come through yesterday. Beautiful sunshine, but it's still on the mild side. We're looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 60s right now, so comfortable. A few high thin clouds there in Fayetteville. It looks beautiful in Apex with a few clouds there too. Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. And of course, it's just a lovely afternoon for us all across the area. Here's what we're watching for Thursday. Another front will come through. It will affect us for most of the day. Some of the heaviest rain might be in the first half of the day. A half an inch to an inch of rain. Boy, we need that rain. And I'll show you where that front is right now. And it is back to the west. It will gradually start to slide eastward. There's some moisture already pushing in from the Gulf of Mexico. And so that's going to move northward. The front will interact with that and push it into our area, giving us the best chance of rain that we've seen since September. Here's a look at that band of rain that comes up out of the Gulf, and then the cold front will come through. Now, tomorrow will stay nice and dry, but we will see increasing clouds ahead of the system. On Thursday, we see the front pushing that rain across our area. Notice the yellow shaded area. So it should be a good soaking rain. Again, half an inch to an inch. Again, it would be nice if it was more, but we'll take what we have. And then as that moves on out by Friday, it starts to get breezy behind that low pressure system and our skies start to clear. Let's go a little closer to our high resolution model. This is 5 a.m. on Thursday. We take it on out. By the time we get to say 8 or 9 o'clock, we begin to see that rain pushing in. The purple areas that are popping up are going to be a wintry mix for the mountains. That could be some sleet, some freezing rain, possibly some snow mixed in. We're not going to see any of that here, but it does give you an idea that it's going to be pretty chilly with the system when it comes through. A widespread totals of an average of half an inch. There may be some pockets where it's a little bit heavier than that, or even down to the south that may be a little lighter than that. But we should see, a pretty good chance of a half an inch of rain. 80% chance of rain, 30% on Friday as it moves out of the viewing area. We've been watching our system that could develop here in the tropics. It really just continued to jump up today. It went from 70 to 80 and then from 80 to 90. So 90% chance that this develops. The next name on our list is Sarah. And so we could potentially have a tropical depression or tropical storm Sarah in the next 24 hours or so. You could see 90% chance that we get a tropical depression out of this in the next few days. The models are eventually bringing it, but a long time. So it sits and spins down here in the Caribbean for a while. This is next Monday and Tuesday. So this is a solid week from now. But potentially it moves on up here into the Gulf of Mexico. And whether or not it affects the United States, of course, yet to be seen. It's a system that hasn't officially formed yet. Let's go back and talk about Thursday's system. Not only are we looking at cloudy skies and rain for a good bit of the day, it's going to be chilly with a high of only 53.
And a little bit of that cold November rain potential as well. Thanks, Elizabeth. You could say Microsoft fulfilled a mission of a higher calling, how the faithful can visit the Vatican now anytime without taking a flight to Rome.
And here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers. 3, 21, 24, 34, 46, and the Powerball is 9. The multiplier is 3.
We'll wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. Durham police are investigating after 2 people were killed in separate shootings today. 4 people total have been shot in 3 different incidents over the last few days. This most recent shooting happened around 9:40 this morning at the intersection of Holloway and Bry Street. Now, Durham police tell us 1 person was shot there, and that person was pronounced dead on the scene when EMS arrived.
A section of I-40 in Cary is back open this noon hour after investigators cleared a crash that killed a person. This happened near the I-440 US 1 interchange just before 5 this morning. Take a look at video from Sky 5 over the scene showing that backup. It stretched for more than 2 miles. Raleigh police confirm a person was killed while walking there. We are working to find out how this all happened and the name of the person killed.
New at noon, one of the Triangle's biggest employers is getting bigger, acquiring new AI data software. SAS is taking over principal software assets of Hazy, a London-based firm that specializes in synthetic data technology. SAS projects the move will bolster its data and AI portfolio.
If you can't fly to Rome to visit the St. Peter's Basilica, let technology bring it to you. The Vatican and Microsoft teamed up to recreate a digital replica using artificial intelligence. Now you can visit the church anytime from anywhere. Pope Francis previously urged for an ethical use of AI, calling for world leaders to sign an international treaty regulating it. Teams use drones, cameras, and lasers to take 400,000 photos for this project.
How do you knit together 400,000 photographs? It's like a giant quilt, with each photograph being a little different piece of fabric. You use AI.
The images have also pinpointed structural damage unnoticed by the human eye, which needs to be repaired.
A marble sculpture bought for $6 was used as a doorstop for a shed. It could now sell for $3 million. A Scottish town bought the 18th century bust of landowner and lawmaker Sir John Gordon. He was the founder of Invergordon, a coastal town about 180 miles north of Edinburgh. The bust has been loaned to the Louvre in Paris and the Getty Museum in LA. A private overseas buyer has offered to pay more than $3 million for that sculpture. The windfall could help fund community projects in the small Highland town. More than 8 months since online sports betting was legalized in North Carolina. Now lawmakers are working to change the way bettors are taxed, and we'll hear that plan at 4 on WRAL News.
Thanks for spending your lunch hour with us. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.